Growing up as a teenager in the late 60s and early 70s, we didn't have YouTube, so to find out about motorcycles, so we go up to the drugstore and get a motorcycle magazine. And I'm just looking through one of my 1972 motorcycle magazine, Cycle Guide, from November that year. They did a 7-bike Superbike Showdown, and I thought that was very interesting, so I just kind of gazing at that and looking at that. Thought I might bring a little sample of what they found out during that Superbike shootout with they had Norton and Kawasaki and Honda, Suzuki, Harley. They had 7 different bikes there. And as I was looking at it, I was wondering what would those bikes cost in today's dollars? So I got that in this video. And what kind of bikes could you buy for those dollars today in the same brands? So what I'm gonna show you here is some of what they did in the Superbike Shootout and what you could get for those dollars in 2022 dollars. This is a flat cap cafe racer. Please stay tuned. Funny thing is, the first thing I did notice looking at this Superbike Showdown was there's usually only like 6 bikes on the cover, 6 bikes running down on the Showdown, 6 bikes on the next photo. So it didn't get down to the 7th bike, which is the missing one here is the Suzuki 750. And although they did test it, and it did show up in the slide with all the statistics and things like that. I'll let you look at the statistics, how they rated them. You see some pencil marks there. I did that as a kid when I was going down there. I was trying to figure out which one was the best, because at the conclusion they really didn't say which one's the best. They have all the different categories there. They even had speedometer accuracy, which was really strange because some of the speedometers were actually read slow at like 60 or 80 miles an hour. So, and some read really fast. We're used to the ones that read fast, but I've never had too many that read slow. Then they had the quarter-mile times and the speeds, the braking distances, and how loud they were, which was kind of unusual, and the wet weight. They gave each one of the manufacturers the option of including in this test a 1973 model, or they were going to use the 1972s. I think Yamaha and Trident included their 1973 model. The rest were 1972 models. And they did it kind of old school. No, I don't think they used tape measures and things like that to record things. I don't know how accurate they were on the speedometers, how they used to do that, if they used the speedometers or not for the top speed and quarter miles. I don't think so for the quarter mile. So they had all the different categories you can see here: high speed roadability, braking, suspension, mechanical comfort, durability, suitability. And I took all those numbers from, I guess they took those numbers from this sheet here, which has all the top speeds, speedometer accuracy, and quarter mile time, braking, and things like that. So I took those things and did my own summary and conclusion, because at the end they really say, hey, the figures speak for themselves, and depending on what you're looking for. So according to my rankings, the least you get points if you're first, you get 1 point. If you're second in a category, you get 2. If you're third, you get 3, and so on and so forth. So when I added up all the points, say for instance Yamaha and Kawasaki got, for top speed they got first because they had 120 miles an hour. Suzuki got second, they had 117. Honda third, 112, and you had four of them tied got 4 points because they all had 110 miles an hour. So I took the dollars, quarter mile speeds, braking from 65 to 0, speedometer accuracy because I could, weight in pounds and decibels, and I put them all in there. And what it came out was Kawasaki 750 was first with 21 points, Norton second, Honda was third with 29. He had three-way tie with Yamaha, Harley, and Triumph with 34, and poor little Suzuki, probably one that wasn't in the picture, was last with 43. So what I did in this, starting with this slide here, is the 1972 stuff is in yellow. All right, so you can see the bikes from 1 to 7 in yellow. Then also in green is what you could buy in that same brand. I had a little trouble with Norton, but in the same brand with in today's dollars. So you can see, for instance, Kawasaki in 1972 dollars is $1,386, but if you converted that to today, it'd be $9,692. Well, you could buy for that today. You could buy a nice Z650 RS at $92.49. So you can see and compare. Some of the times the speeds and top speeds and quarter miles are about the same. I didn't include braking in this because the braking, if you look at the braking, it was just horrible on all the 1972s. They were almost at 190 feet in the worst one in 1972 at 65 miles an hour. So I did that. I kind of broke that down, and later on I'm going to show you a slide where I averaged what the 1972s did, and I averaged what the 22 bikes do, and kind of see that. The average price of 1972 model in the 7 was $1,755, or today's price is $12,271. So then I did the same thing. I averaged for their top speed, averaged their quarter mile, averaged their quarter mile speed and horsepower and weight in pounds. What surprised me mostly was that the weight in pounds for the 2022 models is 33 pounds lighter than the 1972 models. Big discrepancies in ETs and top speed, and the pricing is a little biased here. It would have been not quite so different. It would have been almost equal to the 1972 models if it had not been for the Norton, which was $19,995. But I put a little sound in the background of some of these older motorcycles as we go through. Okay, you can look at let's see the differences, and generally on the average, the 2022 bikes are about twice the horsepower of the 1972 bikes, and usually they're quicker, much quicker. But in this particular comparison, the 2022 actually has just a little bit less horsepower, but it also has less weight, and subsequently the quarter mile ETs are a little quicker. Top speed is right at about the same. So you can actually, if you look at the 1972 in today's dollars, it's actually $400 more than what you could get the Z650 RS Anniversary Edition. The Kawasaki H2 is one of my favorites going through there, but I think the new Anniversary Edition is beautiful too. When I start comparing, I compared a 1972 to a 2021 Norton because of all the problems Norton was having, and they were making a 961 Commando. They would come to the United States and actually drove a lot of businesses out of business, went into bankruptcy because of the non-support of the warranties. But anyway, the 1972 sold for $1,784 then. That's equivalent to $12,475. Unfortunately, Really, there's nothing in the Norton lineup that I can compare it to other than the 961 Sport, which was $19,995. As you can see, the top speed's a little bit faster on the 2022. The quarter mile is marginally quicker. The quarter mile speed is right about the same. The horsepower is just, the 2022 has a little bit more, but it's got a little portkey. It picked up some weight, probably about 92 pounds. But still a beautiful bike. The new Norton was a beautiful bike. Unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna see those on these shores for a while, even though they restarted. We're gonna play some Honda 750 in the background here. I could have went different ways in the comparison between the 20 and 22 and the 1972, but I chose to give something that was pretty close on price. So I'm comparing the 1972 CB750 to the CBR 600RR. I know they don't look alike, but the pricing would be $11,902 for the 1972 750 and $11,999 for the 2022 CBR. As you can see, there is a big discrepancy on top speed, quarter mile speeds, quarter mile ETs, horsepower, and weight. So there's been a big jump up from the what the Honda 750 was to what the 600 is now. So the next bike here is a Yamaha 750, and I think that's called it the TX70 750. And actually, this was a particular one was a 1973. They didn't make it for very long. It had a very unusual sound, as you can hear it. But I wanted to compare it to another bike that was roughly about the same price, and I had a little trouble getting it even as close. So I could have went over the price, but I chose the MT-09 SP, which was $11,099, which would be a good $1,100 cheaper than the Yamaha 750 if you bought one today in today's dollars. Top speed is on the MT-09 is 20 miles an hour faster. It's almost 2 seconds quicker than a quarter mile, and it's got about twice the horsepower of the other one. Plus, it weighs 419 pounds to 490 pounds. So it's going to be a recurring theme that these 2022 models are lighter than the older models. So in the test, they actually used a 1973 Trident in this. That was an option I explained earlier. So the 1970, the pricing on this was in 1972, but it's $1,932. It's equivalent to $13,510. Today you can get a Speed Twin for $12,595. And it's faster, 20 miles an hour faster. It's almost a second quicker in a quarter mile. It has about 30 more horsepower, and it's just a little bit lighter than the Trident was. So that's a pretty good deal. Comparison, those are the 1972 Harley, and the 72 Harley had the drum brake. I think they went to 73, they went to the disc. But comparing it to the 2022 Harley Davidson Sportster S, you can see that the 1972 pricing for the Harley Davidson was $2,120, and that was for the non-electric motor starter. That's $14,825. And comparing it to the Sportster S, which is $15,499. So if they'd used the actual electric start motor, it'd even been closer in price. Unfortunately, you can't find a lot of Harley Davidsons from 1972 with the stock exhaust system to get that sound. Top speed, the new one is 11 miles an hour faster. It's a couple seconds quicker in a quarter mile, and the top speed is another 10 or 11 miles an hour faster. Although it does weigh just a little bit more in this particular case. 1972 GT750, Suzuki had the option of putting a 73 in here. Unfortunately, they didn't, and they really kind of suffered because of the weight of the 72, because of the and braking performance of the 1972, because they had the drum brakes. It's a fairly cheap bike back in 1972 at $1,575, but that'd be equivalent to about $11,014 today. It was fairly fast. It had top speed of 117. Wasn't a bad quarter mile. It had about 70 horsepower, but what really killed it was the weight, 535 pounds. So as you can see, the GSXR, comparing it to that, you can get one for $11,499 today, have a top speed of 161, have a couple seconds and some, maybe almost 3 seconds faster in a quarter mile. Top speed is better. Horsepower is more than double. Well, no, it's not. It's 70 versus 124, but the weight of the new bike is 412 pounds. I grew up in the late 1960s and early 1970s, which I remember fondly as the golden age of motorcycles. However, you'd have to be blind not to see the facts that today's objectively measured, today's bikes are better in almost every measurable way. It's pretty clear that 1972 Superbikes don't measure up to today's bikes. Today's bikes are lighter, faster, quicker, better handling, stop better, for about the same price, have better fuel mileage, and are better for the environment. Okay, I gotta come clean. To be honest with you, the way I calculated the points on the Superbike thing here is not exactly the way it came out if you added everything up together. So if you added up everything, all the categories, even the non-important ones, Norton, Triumph, Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, Kawasaki, then Harley. Since I don't consider all those categories very important, I'll stick with the way I added it up the first time. So the 1972 Superbikes had the style and the sound, still make them better in my heart. So I'm still going to vote for the 1972 ones, even though in my mind I know that the 2022's bikes are better. Join me and my friends at Flat Cap Cafe Racer for riding and racing. Please subscribe.